Shalom, ladies and gentlemen. This is Avi Ben Mordechai, and this is Torah On Location from Hertz, Israel. On our episode of Torah On Location today, let's continue our study into the language of numbers. And we're going to continue where we left off on our last program, dealing with the two prime numbers in mathematics, those numbers being 37 and 73. Join us for our journey into Genesis 1:1 and the language of numbers. Today's program we're going to deal with Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. In the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth. Welcome back to another edition of Torah On Location. We're going to study 37 and 73, two mathematical prime numbers in the world of mathematics, and we're going to relate these two numbers to the word wisdom in Hebrew. That is, chokhmah, because we learn in Proverbs 3:19 and in Jeremiah 10:12, and also in Jeremiah 51:15, we're going to learn that Yehovah created and founded the world on wisdom. We learned on our last program that wisdom, it has a Gematria value of 73 when adding up all the Hebrew letters, and when adding up the Hebrew letters in their ordinal system, that is the position in the Hebrew Aleph Beit, it adds up to 37. So we have 37 and 73. And both of these numbers divide perfectly into Genesis 1:1 at its numeric value, which is 2,701. That is 2701. Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Because Elohim founded the earth with wisdom, He created the world with wisdom. His entire creation is based entirely on wisdom. Let's take a look at more of this as we get deeper into this 37 and 73 phenomenon in Hebrew Scripture. In Genesis 1:1, we have two phrases that are connected to each other. That is, Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim. In the beginning, Elohim created the heavens, and ve'et haaretz, and the earth. Those two phrases put together have a numeric value in Hebrew of 2,701. But if you divide them out separately, ending with the phrase the heavens, that part of it is 1,998. The last half of the phrase, and the earth, has a numeric value of 703. 1,998 plus 703 equals 2,701, 2701, which is divisible by 37 and 73. If you take a triangle with 37 rows, and you take three triangles with 36 rows each, you can fit all of them perfectly into a 73-row triangle, as you can clearly see from the reference and the illustration here on your screen. If you take a 73-row triangular number and you add up all of its points within that, it will equal 2,701, as we've said. However, If you add up only the perimeter dots in the 73-row triangle, the word for wisdom, it will equal 216. So what's so special about a 216-point triangle? Why is this important, you might ask? A 216-point perimeter on a triangle of 73 rows, if you multiply it times 2, you will get 432. That is, each 73-row triangle with its value of 216 points around its perimeter, each of these triangles are extremely important when it comes to the divine name. So let's put it this way. When you take a 73-row triangle, which is the word wisdom in Hebrew Gematria, and you add up all of its perimeters around the edges, it will equal 216 points. Now you multiply this times 2, it equals 432. This is going to tell us something because it's showing us what's called the Magan David, or the Jewish star, as some people like to refer to it as. Now, there are a lot of people out there on the internet and in various communities that speak without really understanding what they're saying when it comes to this Magan David, to this Jewish star, as they call it. They say, oh, this is evil. It's of Satan. It's the Satan. It's evil. It's Kabbalah. It's the mixture of evil. It's terrible. Really? Is that possible? No. It just depends on what perspective you're looking at things from. I oftentimes will say to people, tell me, who created the heavens and the earth? They say, well, Yehovah, because Genesis 1:1 says he did. Now, wait a minute here. What does Satan do? You might say, well, being evil. The Satan takes what is true and twists it and corrupts it. He's always been known to do that. That's what the opposition does. That's what the opposer does. He takes what is good and true and right and honest, corrupts it and turns it into something negative, bad, evil. Happens all the time. When you say the Jewish star, the Magan David, when you say that that is an evil symbol, you are saying Yehovah did not create it. You're saying Satan created it. You are. Think about it. Did Satan create that star? Satan can't create anything. Only Elohim can create. Satan takes things that are already in existence and corrupts and twists things. I know you understand this. It doesn't take me to tell you this kind of a thing. So, this is an important principle. Don't be so fast to say, oh, the Jewish star is evil. No, it's not. Now, maybe there are groups out there that have turned it into evil by corrupting it because they are listening to the Satan. But stop saying things that you don't understand. This Hebrew star, this Jewish star is very, very esoteric. The David's shield. It's very, very esoteric. And Shlomo, Solomon, knew all about it. And it was good, even in his day, and it's good even today. This is why it's on the Hebrew flag today, on the Israeli flag today, because it's going to unite the house of Israel with the house of Judah. And together, we're going to become one in Messiah. So this Star of Israel on the Israeli flag, this is a picture of the two houses united in one in Mashiach. Messiah, Mashiach, is the manifestation of this six-pointed star from heaven to earth and earth to heaven. The top part of the star is pointing down with 3 points to the material world. The material world, with its 3 points, is pointing upwards toward the spiritual world. Together, they are uniting in Messiah, who is in the center, exactly what Genesis chapter 3 says, that the tree of life was in the middle of the garden, in the center of the garden. So Messiah is the tree of life. The center of the garden is the center of the two stars uniting and coming together, each pointing in their proper directions. The upper star points to the material world, and the lower star points to this spiritual world. And together they are united in HaMashiach. Hence, each of these stars in their 73 rows for the word wisdom, because wisdom has a gematria, a numeric value of 73. Each of the two triangles with 73 rows, wisdom, when you add up the perimeters, they equal 216 points. 216 points on the lower star and 216 points on the upper star equals 432. Why is that important? 432 is an extremely important number in music theory. Now, I am not a musician, but I know lots of people who are musicians and know music theory. All of the friends I have who are musicians, they all tell me that music today is tuned to 440 Hertz, based on using a tuning fork and the key of A. They say it's 440 Hertz. Now, this being said, what we should do is we should retune all music to 432 Hertz using the tuning fork for the key of A. If we go to 432 Hertz, we are going to be in tune with Genesis 1:1, because 432 divided by 2 is 216. 216 is the perimeter, is the value of the total perimeter of a 73 row triangle. A 73 row triangle is the gematria for the word wisdom. And so 73 and 37, both related to wisdom, go into 2,701, which is the numeric value for Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz in Hebrew. In the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth. So the Magan David is a very, very important principle. And we don't ever want to disrespect it and throw it away, attribute its symbolism to Satan or Satan as though he created these two elements from heaven to earth and earth to heaven. No, of course not. Now, there are people who take this Magan David, this Star of David, and they take the Star of David, and they take this and corrupt it and turn it into their own purposes. But the Star of David is, in fact, the star of the Messiah, the star of Mashiach. So, we have some unbelievable, powerful truths going on right here in Genesis 1:1. And we want to add it up properly, do the proper math, do all of the things the way we're supposed to understand things, and we're going to have a beautiful picture of our redemption of the book of Genesis in its esoteric dimensions using the Star of David. Coming up on our next episode of Torah On Location, we're going to have a look at some anomalies in the Hebrew language. We're going to try to delve into some of Yeshua's statements that are very deep and developed in his connections to the Torah, the prophets, and the writings. For example, we're going to look at the statement that is found in Genesis 22, verses 13 through 14, about the ram and the lamb. We'll have a look at that, because there was a reason why that was said precisely the way it was said in Hebrew. And Yeshua picks up on that, and so does Yochanan, or John the Baptist, as he's called. He also understands it, and we'll bring that nuance out in the text here on the next program. We'll also examine this idea that sometimes we hear people saying, my Messiah is a carpenter, or he's a Jewish carpenter. What exactly does that mean? Yeshua is a carpenter. Okay? Well, I tell you right now, it's connected to Ezekiel chapter 37, and it's also connected to Mark chapter 8, verses 23 and 24. We're going to have a look at this on the next program. Going more into some ideas of numbers, we're going to have a look at this number 153. 153. This is the numeric value for the name Betzalel. Why is this important? We'll have a look at this and many, many more understandings. On another upcoming program, we're going to have a look at the dots that are written above the letters in the Hebrew text of the Torah at Deuteronomy 29, verse 28. And we'll study this and understand the purpose for those dots at the numeric value and also at the esoteric mystical level as well. As we look at some of these interesting connections and anomalies between the New Testament, the Brit Hadashah, and the Tanakh, we're going to look at the idea of casting the net on the right side of the boat. Casting the net on the right side of the boat. When Yeshua came to the disciples and he said to them, "Have you no fish?" And they said, "We've been out here all night, nothing has been caught." And he said, "Throw the net on the right side of the boat." Why did he say that? A very specific connection is made to Genesis chapter 49. We'll have a look at that in a future program. Also, in an upcoming program, we're going to have a look at Peter's vision in Acts chapter 10 and also Acts chapter 11. But in Acts chapter 10, Kepha has this vision. And in the vision, there's all kinds of creepy, crawly things that are sitting in a net, and the net is let down to the land or the earth. Why? What's that all about? We're going to address that in an upcoming program. I think you'll find it interesting. Well, I want to thank you for joining me on today's episode of Torah On Location. Now you go and study some of the things that we've presented here mathematically, and if you know someone that really loves arithmetic and math and calculus and trigonometry, you'll have all the more fun, okay? But if you're having a hard time wrapping your brains around this stuff involving the math, don't let it bother you. Just have a look at the numbers very briefly and you'll see the connections that are going on here in the Hebrew Scriptures. because our God, our Elohim, is truly a mathematician. He's the great mathematician, not just the great physician. He's also a great mathematics professor. Thanks for joining us today with Torah on Location, coming to you from Hertz, Israel. I am Avi ben Mordechai. Shalom to you and yours.